Thank you for listening to our Ask the Chimney Sweep podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like this video for more future content. Have a great day.
Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of Ask the Chimney Sweep. I'm your host, Klay Lamb, and it really doesn't make any difference if you're new to fireplaces or just trying to figure out how to save some energy. On today's podcast, we have Mr. Stuart Karanovich. Mr. Stuart Karanovich. We've had a bunch of fun with his last name. Stuart, how are you today, buddy?
I'm doing great, Klay. How are you doing?
Going great, man. Hey, you're with Saver Systems, and you've been with them how many years now?
13.
You're senior seasoned manager, I guess you want to say. What is your position there?
I'm the director of sales.
Director of sales. Well, great. Folks, we have a good show for you today because we're going to start talking about some of the product Saver Systems offers to help you fix your problems on the chimney. They've been in years and years of developing great professional-grade products for maintenance and taking care of that chimney. Stuart, where is one of the biggest problems in a chimney? Where do most people have leaks or what's going on with it?
Well, first off, before we start there, Klay, can I regress a little bit?
Sure, let's drop back.
Okay, let's drop back. Let's, a lot of people, when they look at a chimney, they don't really realize that the number one threat to a masonry chimney in the United States is water. People think it's chimney fires, creosote, lightning strikes, things of that nature, but it's actually water. So if you don't protect that chimney against water, chances are you're going to set yourself up to have some really expensive repair bills down the line. It's a really good idea to take care of those, and a lot of times it's best to take care of them preventatively, because once you realize that you have a problem, usually it's too late.
Hence, we have Saver System products at hand, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
See how that works?
Let's since we backed up, let's move forward to the 10-yard line here. Let's tell listeners today where the leaks happen. What goes on with the chimney?
The number one area where you're going to probably find water penetration in a chimney is the crown. And the crown is the top of the chimney, and that's usually the concrete. Well, it's supposed to be concrete, but that's usually half the problem because it's usually just mortar. And the reason that chimneys leak as bad as they do and the crowns aren't constructed correctly, which leads to water intrusion, is that because, the guy that put the brick on the front of the house probably built the chimney, and they don't know a whole lot about chimney construction.
Well, I've been doing it this way for 40 years. It can't be wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Dad did it that way.
We hear that all the time, don't we, buddy?
Yes, we do. Okay, so the crown, which is the very top of the chimney, and supposed to be constructed of concrete, but usually it's made a mortar wash or what they call a mortar splay.
Now, that's the product that you actually put the bricks with. It's a softer product, correct?
Right.
I just want to stay track with our homeowners so they understand exactly where you're at.
Right. So the mortar is what is between the brick on your house or the brick on your chimney. But when you get to the top of the chimney, you're supposed to stop using mortar and use concrete because it's harder, it's stronger, and it'll last longer. But they usually have a couple of buckets of mortar left, and so a lot of times the crown on your chimney ends up being made out of mortar as well.
It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Who wants to go down and mix up another batch of something?
Well, especially if it's Friday.
That's right.
So we just want to get home.
You have a Friday chimney.
Right. Other thing is that crowns are supposed to be floating, which means that there's supposed to be a bond break between the chimney and the actual crown itself. And then your flue tiles, where the smoke actually comes out of the chimney, there's supposed to be a 3/8 inch gap around those. And so the weight of the crown itself should hold the crown in place.
So this bond break, so our listeners know what we're talking about, it's at the top of the last course of brick beneath the new concrete crown.
That's correct.
Okay. So, and also the flue tiles, those orange terracotta tiles that are sticking up out of there, are supposed to have a 3/8 gap around there. For what reason?
That's because when things heat up and they cool down, they expand and contract. And if you take a crown and then you attach it to the terracotta flue liners and you attach it to the brick and the mortar, and it's attached to whatever is supporting the weight of the actual crown itself, you have 4, 5, or 6 different materials that have different temperature coefficients, meaning that for the same amount of stimulus, i.e. Cold or heat, they will expand and contract at different times. And when they do that, and the crown is tied to all of those things, it literally tears itself apart.
So I want to make sure we're saying this. So actually the flue tile, when it heats up, either expelling gases from the hot water heater, the furnace, or a fireplace, is actually symmetrically expanding.
It expands and it will actually move up and down slightly.
Interesting.
So these movements are, I don't want anybody to misconstrue me and think that, it's moving half a foot. I mean, we're talking about millimeters, maybe centimeters in some cases, but that's enough to really cause some destruction.
What's it doing? It's providing cracks to where?
Well, the crown, because of the expanse of it, is actually the weakest point when it's improperly constructed. And so you'll see these telltale cracks that will start out as a spider crack that you can barely see. But then if you live in an area where you have freeze-thaw cycles, the first time that water lays on top of the crown and the temperature drops, that water will seep into that very small crack. And when it expands, as it forms ice, it gets larger and larger and larger. We're in Cincinnati, Ohio. In this weather belt across the United States, there is an average of 98 freeze-thaw cycles.
Who other than a water repellent company would know that kind of fact?
So think about water in there and expanding and contracting 98 times a year, and you can see why a crown really doesn't stand a chance if it's not constructed properly.
So that hairline crack turns into a Grand Canyon at the top of your chimney.
Absolutely. And when it finally starts letting water in, then we have issues. And when water now penetrates that, if it comes down inside the home, then you can end up with things like water stains on your roof, water stains in your drywall. The big problem is behind that drywall, you may have things like black mold, which is very dangerous. If your chimney vents a wood stove or a fireplace insert, then you may not even notice it, but the water will be collecting down on the top of that appliance and can rust through it. Then you're talking thousands of dollars to replace it.
Well, so it takes a little maintenance. You can save yourself a large investment of repair work, right?
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about that. I know Saver Systems been around for what, 20, 25 years now?
32.
32? My gosh, time flies when I'm having a good time. Watch this thing grow. Well, tell us about those 32 years. I know you started out with water repellents, but let's focus in on the repair product for this crown. What do you offer?
Well, we have a product called Chimney RX Brushable Crown Repair. And this product is well within the range of any do-it-yourselfer to put on. So when we talked about the problem being that the crown is moving and causing these cracks, this product is in a class of products called an elastomeric. And that's just a fancy word for saying that when it dries, it's still a little bit pliable.
Still flexible a bit?
It looks like concrete when you basically brush it out. You just take a piece of duct tape, go up to the crown, duct tape all the way around the row of bricks that are right next to the crown.
Top course of bricks, you tape those off with what, duct tape?
Duct tape. And then you go up on the flue tiles.
Up on top of flue tiles. So
Yep.
Between that, you have your crown.
That's right. And so basically what you're doing there, that's really not a necessary step. I like it because it makes the repair look nice from the ground.
Okay.
And then once you do that, then you can simply use a what they call a China chip brush,
Okay.
which is available at any paint store. They're usually less than $1, and work this stuff into the surface of the crown, and then build it up to the depth that you'd like it, and rip the duct tape off, and it looks like somebody's just poured a brand new crown up there. And the polymers that we use in that product will last for a good 15, 20 years.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well, let me make sure I understand this now. So I understand you're taping off at the top of the crown. Now, there's a lot of times a gap between the top brick and the bottom of the crown. Should that be filled up also?
That absolutely should. So if you have that gap there, what you technically have is what's called a mortar wash, where they've just washed mortar over the top of the crown. And if you see a little crack there, when that thing cools down or heats up, that crack probably gets really large. So if you have that, then put your duct tape about a 1/4 inch below that on your first course of bricks under the crown, and work the crown, the brushable crown repair into that crevice, and then over the top of the crown.
So you're actually taking a little bit down on the brick and a little bit up on the flue tile, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so you're coating that area, both those seam pretty well.
Right. And it is like slipping a rubber boot over the top of your crown. It's just a really good repair. It'll take you 45 minutes, an hour on an average size crown, and it'll last 15 or 20 years.
Let's talk about some safety there, because I know there's a lot of men that think, oh, I can do that. Let's talk a little bit about safety, because you've been on a lot of chimneys in your life.
Well, there's always roof safety. There's a fall hazard. Obviously, you have to be capable of walking on a roof. Most homeowners don't have a fall protection vest where they attach themselves to the chimney like professionals do. So you need to make sure that you're comfortable working on the roof.
I'm always concerned about when we give advice to homeowners to get up on a rooftop. You know, there's so many accidents at Christmas time when people put the lights up. So just make sure you feel comfortable before you get up there. But that's a great idea what you're saying. And the reason why, because people are seeing water problems. You know, I have a lot of people fix everything in the chimney. A lot of times they'll start repairing the drywall before they've got the leak fixed.
Right.
It's pretty bad.
Can I tell you why that is? Why
Yeah.
I think it is?
Why is that?
You're going to laugh, but it's the three little pigs.
What do you mean?
Well, we all grew up with the three little pigs, and the first one made his house out of mud, and the wolf came and blew it down. And the next one made it out of sticks, and the wolf came and blew it down. And then the last one made it out of brick, and he huffed and he puffed and he couldn't blow it down. And so we've grown up with this fallacy that a brick is this impervious material. And the reality is your chimney is made up of bricks, but bricks are nothing more than heavy sponges.
That's true. That's a great analogy, really, because bricks are sponges, aren't they?
They are, absolutely.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I want to make sure we got everybody covered on this crown. What if the crown's pretty well broken up? You're not really recommending we just coat over that, are you?
Okay. You say no more when the crown is no longer structurally sound.
Okay.
And what does that mean? That means that if I get up there and I can take big chunks of it up with my hand, this is probably not your repair.
Probably not your
Now, if you have a crown that's structurally sound, but let's just say that there's a golf ball size piece missing or a baseball size piece missing,
okay,
then we actually make another product in that same line that's called Chimney RX Trowelable Crown Repair. And so that product would actually go on with the trowel, but it would actually fill in larger cracks and voids. But you draw the line on structurally sound.
Okay, let's just make sure we're talking about this right. Let's make sure this homeowner understands there's two different products, two different purposes.
Right. So the brushable crown repair would be if you have smaller cracks and crevices.
Okay.
And the trowelable crown repair would be if you had larger damage. But by no means should this product be considered if you're thinking that by putting it on there, it's going to hold your crown together. If you need something to do that, you need a professional out there to knock it off and put you a new crown on.
In other words, it's not magic goop. It's a repair product.
Absolutely.
Okay, I understand that. That's a great conversation, Stuart. There's a few more products we're going to go through here in a little bit, but I want to make sure everybody knows that we have a website called Fireplace and Chimney Supply. We have this and a whole host of other products. Saver Systems products are really been time tested. Let's talk about a little bit about that testing, if you don't mind.
So the crown products have been tested. First off, this is not a new product. Chimney RX is a homeowner product from a company that has made products for the professional chimney sweep for the last 30 plus years. And so these products have been on chimneys across the United States in all types of different climates for almost 30 years. And they do work and they do last, so you can have confidence in that.
So you've tested this product and you've taken it out in the sun, you've taken the cold, and it's weather tested and stays the course for us. So homeowners, if you've not come up with a product that's really going to fix your chimney, I would highly recommend visiting us on the website at Fireplace and Chimney Supply. I'm doing a reminder. The first product is
brushable crown repair.
Small cracks.
Smaller cracks.
Bigger chunks.
Is the trowelable crown repair, both under the Chimney RX brand.
Excellent. Stuart, thanks for visiting up here, and we will see you on the rooftop. Well, I want to say thank you for stopping by, Stuart. And I can never give enough information to our homeowners about how to fix leaky chimneys. It's a major problem. You know, we all don't think it's a problem unless it's our chimney leaking. And Stuart brought a lot of really good insights of how to break down the problems and try to isolate where the needs are, and explained a lot of the products that really can help you solve that. Saver Systems has been around for decades and decades and decades. And I think it's time, if you want to use somebody in your local area, highly recommend Chimney Saver products. And we're going to sign off with something special here. We had Stuart do a mic check here, and you're not going to believe what you're going to hear. But as I sign off, I'll say this. Be civil with all mankind, love and protect your family, honor and serve your God. Now, we will see you on the rooftop, and I'm leaving you with a footnote from our buddy, Stuart Karanovich.
Ladies and gentlemen, hobos and tramps, cross-eyed mosquitoes and bow-legged ants, I come before you to stand behind you to tell you a story I know nothing about. Early this morning and late last night, two dead boys got up to fight. Back to back, they faced each other, drew their swords, and shot each other. A deaf policeman heard the noise and rushed to save them two dead boys. If you don't believe me, ask the blind man. He saw it all.
Nobody other than my buddy Stuart can bring that on. Thanks, Stuart from Saver Systems. You do a great job, man. Thanks for stopping by, Stuart. It's been a delight.
Thank you for listening to our Ask the Chimney Sweep podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like this video for more future content. Have a great day.